Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers Writing University YouTube channel with your host, Kathleen Antrim and DP Lyle. This is called Get to Know. Heather, welcome.
Thank
Great to
you.
have you.
I'm so excited to see you guys. Yeah, even over the screen, it's wonderful to see you.
Well, I want to brag a little bit on you. This is Heather Graham. She's a New York Times bestselling author, a USA Today bestselling author. She's written over 200 novels, many short stories and novellas, and you've been published in 30 languages around the globe, over 70 million books in print. You're really, you don't need to step it up, Heather. I don't know. You're kind of an underachiever.
Exactly.
Well, I have 5 children. They were very expensive. I had to keep working.
And you're still at it, I'll tell you.
Yep. Now they have children, so it just keeps going.
I'd love to hear a little bit about your upbringing. We want to get to know you. So talk to me and our listenership and Doug about where you grew up and what that was like.
Well, let's see. Both of my parents were immigrants. My dad's family came in from Scotland. My mom's from Ireland. And her family stayed in Chicago. So I spent a lot of time going up to Chicago when I was young. But I think that my mom had grown up in Chicago and my dad in northern Wisconsin. So I think they found Florida and said they were never leaving. So I grew up in Miami. I got to go back often, but and I love it. I love Chicago. There's areas of Wisconsin that are beautiful, but I'm not a big fan of ice and snow. So I'm glad that I have spent my life in Florida. But I think one of the best things about my folks is they were both great readers. So I grew up reading constantly and all kinds of things because they had different tastes in books.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I would love to have grown up in Miami.
Well, you were also a backup singer.
Yes. I have been, I've done a lot of weird things, a lot of having to do with the 5 children. Majored in theater, worked in dinner theater for about 3 years. When I had children and could only leave at certain times, I became a lifeguard on South Beach for a while, and I taught swimming to babies for a while, Red Cross. So yeah, I've done some weird things. Oh, and of course, to survive at any of them, I have been a bartender and a waitress.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, was that actually to survive and make money, or was that to get away from the kids?
Pardon?
Was that to survive and make money, or was that to get away from the kids, to have a little break?
Oh. No, when I got out of school, we were not very much of an equity state. So I actually worked for these local entertainers, the Rhodes brothers, who were just really super guys, but they owned a private club and they did their dinner theaters. And then I got $10 an hour for backup singing. So the bartending and waitressing, yeah, they were for money.
Is that your first love, singing and dancing? I know you were a theater major, right, in college?
Yeah. Oh, I do. In fact, I just had a lot of fun. A friend of mine down here owns something called Mystery on the Menu.
Oh,
and,
cool.
I'm not really sure how she picked me for this, but I was just Bambi. One of the productions for what they do is they sell this package to different things for different events. And this one was for a group of condo attorneys, which I hadn't even known existed, but it was a tremendous amount of fun. I love doing it. So hopefully. And then because my children said, we put on shows a lot of the time in New Orleans and then at VoucherCon. We'll be doing one this year on country singers. But my kids said that I became a writer just so that I could write plays and cast myself. So I said, you guys may not have it so wrong.
So I'm going to apologize for the dog who's barking, I really apologize for that. I'm not sure what's suddenly upset him, but
that's okay. We've got one in the back there too. So, but I don't think he's outside right now.
They always have issues. So, yes. So you started writing, and I mean, I encourage everybody. We will post your website when this goes up and on the YouTube channel. Go there and look at your list of books. It's frightening. It rolls on and on and on and on. Well, I mean, it's just incredible. I don't know how you find the time to do it, except I know sometimes at conferences, I'd run into Dennis and I would say, well, where's Heather? Since she's up in the room, and you're up in the room writing, aren't you? You're sneaky that way.
No,
Yes.
sometimes, but
Yeah.
actually, honestly, having the 5 children was very good
Yes.
because it's kind of like now I feel like a Dr. Seuss novel. I can write in a car. I can write going far. In a plane.
On a plane, on a train.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you've
Wow.
crossed so many genres. It's unbelievable. I mean, historicals and zombie books and apocalyptic books and sci-fi and I mean, historical. It goes on and on and on. Can you not focus on anything? You just like all these things.
No, I mean, honestly, since
Into the
this is
genre.
outliers, there are two trains of thought. And one is that you really need to brand yourself and stick to one thing. I it depends a lot too on what people were looking for at different times. And there's a woman named Catherine Falk who the very first thing I sold was a short horror story to Twilight Zone magazine. And then the next thing I sold was a category romance. Dell had a line at the time. But once I did that, I'd been writing historicals because my parents came with these phenomenal books. And so I'd been writing a lot of historical fiction, but they didn't want to see it. And then Catherine came down with her magazine, and there was a little ad in it that said Liza Dawson at Pinnacle is looking for historicals with a voice similar to Heather Graham's. And I was like, wait, please, give me a chance here. And that's how I wound up, being able to do that. And I think a lot of it's just, again, I read everything growing up, and I love so many things. And maybe a mistake. I don't know. Maybe it would have been better if I had stuck with one. But I think too, I mean, there, again, we're looking at two trains of thought. One is, we're doing this for a living, so we need to be commercial. And then the other thing is, if you don't love what you're doing, maybe no one else will. So I think it's, I think, you have to look at it in two different ways and then go with what your instincts telling you at the time.
Does a story like come to you and you're thinking of a concept, a situation, a character, or whatever, and then how you view that kind of dictates what genre the story's going to end up in? I mean, whether it's going to be sci-fi or whatever.
A lot of it winds up, just life, life. I have a tendency to, and in those books, there are many that are set in New Orleans. I happen to love the city. I'm not from there, but I went I went the first time when I was very young. I was about 5, and my dad took me, and people, have this concept that your father took you walking down Bourbon Street when you were 5, and it has nothing to do with that. We went to the zoo, went and saw the museums and the cemeteries and the atmosphere and everything like that, and I just fell in love with it. So I do have a tendency to use New Orleans, and it has great history that you can draw on. Salem, my husband is an only child, but his dad was one of 11 and his mother was one of 6. So the man had about 200 first cousins in Massachusetts. So we'd go to Massachusetts all the time and spend a lot of time in Salem. So I love Salem. Places often I find to be very inspiring. The things that you find out about places and the things that you can play off that you learn about the history of a place. And then I use people too. And one of the good things about 5 children is now they have lots of friends who do interesting things. And one of my favorite is my second son has a friend who's a fabricator. And a fabricator is someone who creates things that go into the movies. And she worked for Stan Winston Studios. It turned into Legacy Studios. And she was taking me for a tour through them one night. And it was just about the coolest thing I think I'd ever seen, because you walk in and you come up against this zombie that's horrible and creepy. And then right next to it is the Geico pig, smiling at you. So I thought she was so fascinating. I had to have a character who was a fabricator. And I think it's people you meet in life, things you read in the news. It's just paying attention to the world around you will always give you something to go with.
Right.
So, I had heard a rumor that during Halloween, you actually go and stay in Lizzie Borden's house. Is that true?
Wait, I do what?
Oh, Lizzie Borden's home? I mean, talk about a place to get inspiration.
Well,
is that true?
There's a conference in the Northeast called NECON, and it's Northeastern Writers Conference but it's actually mainly horror writers. And I actually love it. It's a fairly small conference, couple hundred people. But they do all the horror art. They do so much with it. But the group of friends and I, every Sunday night when the conference ended, would go stay at the Lizzie Borden house. And a friend of one of the girls was the owner at the time. And she had it set up incredibly cool. She had it just as it had been when the event of, Lizzie Borden took an axe happened.
Oh, wow.
And the creepiest part to me, though, is as you walk through the house, she had all kinds of headless mannequins wearing period clothing, costumes from Elizabeth Montgomery when she did Bewitched, all this kind of thing. But I think my favorite was one day when I was there, I was supposed to be doing something for HarperCollins, and I didn't know that something else was going on at the same time. And so I just went to talk to the producer. I thought she was my producer. She thought I was her actress. And so she said something to me about, oh, okay, now when you're doing Lizzie, and I was like, huh? So she thought I was supposed to be Lizzie, and it's kind of like, Lizzie was 32 at the time.
Yeah.
I think, pushing a little bit here. But China, my youngest daughter, had just come out with me. She was at Cal Arts at the time. And so we turned China into Lizzie, and I did Abby Borden, and they had a little wooden thing, and they put it next to my head, and I was right where Abby Borden had died. And so she got to axe the little wooden thing. So when she was done, they asked me if I wanted to throw blood on China, and I said, oh, you bet. So I threw blood all over China. And then I see her just kind of standing, it's between takes. She's just kind of wandering around. She's standing in front of the window. And I went over to join her, and there were about 8 people down there staring up at her. They suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream and went running down the street. For the rest of their lives, they will believe that they saw.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
It was a lot of fun. It was Biography Channel. It would turn out to be a lot of fun.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'll have to look that up. I'm sure I can find that somewhere, maybe on YouTube.
Gotta be.
Should be somewhere.
Yeah.
So you mentioned
that was quite a while ago.
You mentioned New Orleans and your love for New Orleans, and we all know that. And so you have a conference that you created and put on down there to support the city, which I've been to a couple of times, and I absolutely love it. Can't wait for this year. But you want to talk about the Writers for New Orleans a little bit and tell us what it's about and
Oh, sure.
what the concept is.
It's not any genre. It's Writers for New Orleans. And we started it because, again, I've gone there my whole life, but I happened to be in the city soon after the storm, talking to a friend who owned a carriage company. And she said, we've kind of gotten hurt by the federal government, the state government, the parish government, and the city government. The American people are wonderful, but we don't want to live on charity. We need to get back to work. So she said, you should have a conference. And I'm kind of like, what? But yeah, Connie Perry was with me, the great organizer. So we decided, okay, we'll try. And so we scheduled it at the Monteleone. I had one sister and I've lost her, but that was her favorite. So we figured we would go to the Monteleone, which made me very happy afterwards, because I found out it is still family owned, and the family helped all of their employees through the whole,
Wow.
back up on their feet. So I was delighted that we had chosen it. Oh, and it's a very historic, haunted hotel.
Yes, it is. It is spectacular. I love that place.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful hotel, and I love having it there. But and then I call upon friends such as Mr. Lyle, who have expertise, so that we can have great panels on all kinds of things. And we enjoy doing it, and we do it at cost. We do it just so that people will come in and spend time in New Orleans. And it's still scheduled in the same concept of we have a breakfast on Saturday. We have a welcome party on Friday night, a breakfast on Saturday morning, and gee, what a shock, we do dinner theater on Saturday night.
Yeah, right.
Oh wow, how cool is that?
And maybe a seance or two around along the way.
So what's the website? How can somebody sign up for that to attend?
writersforneworleans.com.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
I'm not sure if we have this year's up yet or not, because Connie's now the administrator for BoucherCon as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
She tends to be a very busy person.
No, the 2023 is still up, but it's okay.
Okay.
You could go there and see what it's all about. But
up there. Yeah.
2024, it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But
So here's a question. Who is Shannon Drake?
Shannon Drake came about because when I sold the historicals, I was talking to Liza from Pinnacle at the time, and because things were very, proprietarial back then, she said, well, we're going to need you to, have a pseudonym. And I thought, oh, a pseudonym. I'm really going to have to think about this. And I said, how long do I have? And she said, you have about 60 seconds. So my sons, Shane and Derek, happened to walk past me at the same time. So they became Shannon Drake.
Yeah.
That's where that
Perfect.
came from.
It's a
Perfect.
good name. It's a really good name.
Yeah.
So how many books have you written under that pseudonym?
I don't know.
A lot.
There's a list. There's a list. It's quite a few.
Yeah.
Now
But
this,
a lot of
this
them, when the companies republish, they put the Heather Graham on them. So I really have, math was never my high point.
We're
I'm not
writers.
sure what's
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite series that you've done? Anything that you're particularly attached to for any personal reasons?
I don't have a favorite series. I mean, hope I love the publisher's answer to that. What's your favorite book? The next one out on the market.
Right.
Right.
And I try not. I usually enjoy what I'm doing. I'm very fascinated by what I'm doing at the time, whatever it is. But there is one that's near and dear to me because when I was very young, I went back to Ireland with my mother, and it happened to be a very bad time to be in Ireland. The IRA was very busy, and she was supposed to have met cousins, and roads got bombed out. And when we got back, I was kind of a very bad child. I would act like I had nothing to do with, any of it. And but anyway, then as time went by, I began to feel very badly about the way I made her feel. And I wrote a book, I think it's called Night of the Blackbird, that had to do with the Irish and the IRA, not necessarily being two things. And then, of course, actually, it's after the towers went down, the IRA got kind of very quiet and everything. I love Ireland now. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's, it's a great place to be. But it took me a while. But anyway, my mom got to read Night of the Blackbird, which I hope was something that she enjoyed. And she died the following March. So I was glad she got to read it.
Oh, absolutely. It's very touching, actually.
Well, just this past summer, you published the Blackbird series.
Oh yeah, that's different. I'm sorry.
That's different. Exactly. I understand. So
apparently I like birds.
What's this all about?
Oh, okay. Well,
This
for
series.
years I've done something called the Crew of Hunters, which I really enjoy. And the I haven't told the subtitle on it is I just blanked on it. Criminal Minds meets the Winchesters. What was the name of that? I loved it. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, haunted series with two very handsome young men. Trying to think what the name of it is now. Okay. Well, anyway.
That's what happens when you write over 200 books. I'm sure. I mean, yeah.
No, I can't believe I can't think of the name of the series. I loved it. It's the father had something with him, and the kids are supposed to go out and find evil things. They come across everything. They come across vampires, they come across ghosts, whatever. But anyway, we at ITW, another one of our groups, we would go to the FBI in New York every year, and I loved getting to learn things about the FBI. So the Crew of Hunters is an FBI series, and but it has to do with a special unit of the FBI and a gentleman. There's a little precursor to it, a gentleman who happened to know people who had special abilities, and they're not vampires, they're not zombies. They just have the very special ability to speak to the dead who have remained. And the dead, of course, can help them because they can go places live people can't. So they're very useful. Of course, only when they choose to be spoken to or when they hang around. But anyway, the Crew of Hunters takes place in the United States. Blackbird is when they join they become an international organization as well. So the first three, they're chasing a vampire throughout Norway and into the Great Britain. And second one isn't. Oh, there was one thing that's really, really fun. This guy's wonderful too. I belong to everything. I belong to horror writers. And one of my friends in horror writers found out when he was 40 that he was sure if his grandson or great-grandson of H.H. Holmes, who was Herman Mudgett, considered to be America's first serial killer.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so one of them is based on, all three of them are based on people who are imitating historical murders. And so in the Blackbird, they're kind of going from this year, they went from Norway into England and Scotland. And next year they start in England and Scotland and they wind up in France.
Do you go to all the places where you're going to write?
I have been to all of them, yeah. Yeah, well, my father's Scottish, Graham, yeah. Yeah, we've definitely been there, yeah.
Wow. So do you really enjoy scaring people? And do you play practical jokes on your family by chance?
No, my family's way creepier than I've ever been. You all know my husband, so yeah, that's one of his favorite things to do, and we go every year. Or I go when I can, when it doesn't conflict. There's a wonderful conference out in California. Well, there's two of them, Monster Palooza and Son of Monster Palooza.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Where are those at?
Pardon me?
Where are those at?
I think sometimes Burbank, sometimes LA, depending on the conference. But they're so much fun because they are all the things created by the fabricators. And then this year, I got to spend quite a while chatting with the crypt keeper, who was super. In China, my youngest daughter models for them. So,
and does it creep you out? It doesn't seem like it creeps you out. That stuff really creeps me out.
No, not that. I mean, it's a conference. Or convention. There's a million people in it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm I'm the world's worst coward. So I don't know how I.
But yet you sleep at Lizzie Borden's house. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep in a room alone at Lizzie Borden's house.
That's funny.
Do you
think is it actually haunted, Lizzie Borden's house? Do you think?
I don't think it is. We had a medium there one night who was hysterical because her concept on the whole thing was Lizzie did do it, but Lizzie did it because her father had been so abusive. And if Lizzie's haunting something, I don't think it's that house. She hated it. She bought another thing called Maplecroft down the street. So if she's hanging around, but excuse me, we had the funniest medium one time because she kept talking to Andrew Borden, but you could see her take her knee to make the table move.
Oh,
so that one was a little weird, yeah.
Or a little fake.
Just a little,
yeah.
I have to admit, nothing ever happened to me evil at Lizzie Borden's house. So
yeah,
like I said, the only thing that creeped me out was the mannequins, and the house is divided, kind of like or it was. I'm not sure. There's a new owner now, but the place where the Bordens went up and down was through actually the back and the kitchen, and the girls came in the front door. And so now the way the rooms are divided, you would still have to come down the one through the living room and then go up the other stairs. And a couple of times my family met me there, and somebody would suddenly want a computer in the middle of the night, and I'd be in one part and have to go to the other. And I thought if I just did this when I walked by the mannequins, they wouldn't move. So, they were the only thing that freaked me out about it was mannequins. But I don't think mannequins kind of freak me out anyway.
Has there ever been anything supernatural that freaked you out that you saw and you were not sure what it was and scared you?
The only supernatural thing I have had happen to me was actually a nice one. My father-in-law was the funniest guy, very, very Italian, and very Catholic, but he watched everything and encouraged temple, Baptists, anything. He just loved anything. And sweet guy, very, very spiritual. And when he was ill and in the hospital, kind of towards the end, he'd suffered from Parkinson's for a long time. They'd asked me to stay because my mother-in-law was a little bit, they thought it would be better, just more peaceful for him. So I did. I adored this man. He was great. But they came in and told me that was it. He was gone, for me to call my husband and get him and my mother-in-law down.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have his hand. All of a sudden I feel his hand tense, and he sat up and he looked across the room and he stretched his hand out and he laid down and died. And I thought, wow, if there are angels, if your past come to get you,
Yeah.
for him. Because again, it wasn't scary, it was sweet, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe comforting even.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Truly amazing.
And any other time I've simply scared myself because I'm a chicken.
Yeah.
That's me.
I know you put on seances from time to time at conferences. Any of those ever contacted anybody actually, or or do you just have fun with it? I mean,
Other than the lady with the knee bumping the table.
I don't remember what the book was at the time, but HarperCollins did a seance at the House of the Seven Gables for me.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing there is they had a reception first. And of course, the medium was talking to everybody at the reception. So, and the worst part of it is Dennis and my oldest son were there. And the medium is talking. They've got the room and they have the news there. And you can see them because of the anchor talking on the news is talking about the seance and the medium. And then there are the believers and the doubters. And they turn around and the camera's on my husband and my son. And like this.
The doubters.
I can see him right now.
Yeah, Dennis, you can
exactly.
Right.
It was funny too, because we're in Massachusetts where there's a very heavy Italian population. And the medium was like, I can smell marinara sauce. And of course, half the people in the room, little newsboy was, that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Although she did say something to one of my editors who was up there. She said something to her about what a name was going to be. And she was pregnant. She hadn't told anybody. So who knows?
Oh, wow.
Good guess. Or, maybe she thought she was buying a dog. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who knows?
It's open to interpretation.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. Who knows? There's so much we don't know. I try to keep an open mind.
Oh, I do too. I definitely haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, I have had so much fun too. I have really good friends who are called the Peace River Ghost Trackers. And
cool.
they've gotten to do a lot of things. They work with the TV channels sometimes. But I had done Jason was with my oldest again, and we went with them to do an investigation at the Spanish military hospital in St. Augustine. And they had all of their cameras set up. They had the screens so that you could see what was going on. And there were two things that were kind of funny. They're very, very Southern. They're literally from the Peace River. And they had written all their questions in Spanish because it was the Spanish military hospital. So Scott went in on the one. I mean, this is a nice man, but he went on the one and he was like, hola, ¿cómo está? And my son ran up to him and he said, Scott, could I do this for you, please? Up down here, Spanish is pretty good. So he went ahead and did that. But while we were there, I was looking at all the screens and I thought I'd finally seen something because I see like this really strange black fog kind of creeping across the screen. And I called one of the guys over and I said, Craig, what is that? Is that something? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, that's Scott's shadow. He's walking across the room. And it was like, okay, what's so much on that one?
Yeah. Get me out of
I've
here.
done the Queen Mary with them too. That was a lot of fun and very interesting and funny again, because I had China and Shane, I think. And I felt bad because Shane had been out for a date and his girlfriend had on, 5-inch heels and didn't know we were going to be crawling around a ship. So I felt bad for her, but she was a trooper. She went through it. But they had told us that the murder had taken place in the showers and down by the pool. And the showers, I didn't feel anything. And it was just a security guard, them and us. And, kind of walking through. And then I walked into this area under the stairs and it just felt, but I thought it's dark and it's small and I don't want to be in here alone. So I come and I'm sitting at a table and Shane's friend came and she did the same thing. She I don't like that room. And then they actually recorded something on it. They always look at everything like, was that a motor humming? Was that the electricity? But, they always look for what is real first. Yes. But there was something a little bit weird on it. And then we were sitting there talking about it, and the security guard came in to see how we were doing. And he said, "Oh, didn't they tell you?" And he was like, "Tell us what?" "Oh, she was murdered in the showers, but they dragged the body to hide under the stairs."
Oh, wow.
No, that was a little, but the
Yeah.
funniest thing that happened that night is China was there with her friend, and the two of them started off ahead of us. And he'd said, we turned to the left and they turned to the right. And all of a sudden I hear this blood curdling scream. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And I went running, and they had gone the wrong way. And they had already started setting the ship up for a Halloween thing. And when you walked in to the area where they were in the hold, everything was set with dangling bodies,
Oh my God.
So
That's the
they had not
scream.
known about
Yeah.
that. So it was funny. I really enjoy now when we have one of our friends who's now doing things like that. Terry Rogers is doing.
Mhm.
Right. He's doing investigations on
Yeah,
supernatural.
he is.
Very, very interesting. Yeah.
So I think we're going to be
Had a few
trying again this
experiences
year in New
myself,
Orleans.
so. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. This
Yes. Tell us about it.
is coming in April, correct?
Yes.
Good.
This is it's the fourth book in a series, and it's Danger in Numbers, Crimson Summer, and I forgot, and this one, but there are very strange things happening. It is not a paranormal, it's a straight suspense, but it has to do with they are investigating occult. They have very strange things happen. And one of the, not the main character, but one of the auxiliary characters is a fellow named Aiden, who is a Seminole Indian. And they pull some things where they're trying to make it appear that the Indians have gone crazy, but they set everything up as you would if you were a Western Indian. So they kind of blew things there. But through the four books, you find different people are doing different things, but there's one person who's been controlling everything, and you don't get to find that out to the last book.
Of course
Oh,
not.
wow.
A lot of it takes place down here in Florida.
I love the cover. It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, I love our artist. I think we have a great artist working on
it. The creepy trees. Awesome.
And we have creepy trees. Oh, I was going to say that's one thing. It's pretty creepy if you get lost in the middle of the Everglades by yourself.
That, yeah, I would think. Well, I have a thing about alligators, so yeah. To me, sharks and alligators not my favorite animal planet.
No.
Yeah.
So, I used to scuba dive till I saw Jaws, and then that was it.
You're kidding.
Really? That stopped you?
I don't get in the water. You can't negotiate with a shark.
No.
I love to dive. Diving is one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah, I know.
And you're not afraid of the sharks?
Pardon me?
And you're not afraid of the sharks?
It depends on the shark. There's a fellow down here that does something in the Keys called Captain Slate's Creature Feature. And it's super because this man has been feeding nurse sharks, which are non-aggressive.
Right.
Okay.
And raised for years and years and years and years. And you, one of the dives, you can go on one of his creature features, and the sharks will literally sit on your head. You blow a bubble, they'll blow a bubble.
Oh, wow.
They're, like I said, that nurse sharks are not aggressive.
Right.
He's feeding them, and you're in penny camp where it's not fishing and nothing is allowed. So creatures are going to go after what they're supposed to be eating rather than you.
Yeah.
Give me a close-up lemon or bull or something like that. Yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with them.
Exactly.
Because they're aggressive.
Especially a bull shark. They're extremely aggressive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know out in California, it's the great whites, so.
Yep, those two.
Yeah.
I've heard they've been in our area, but it's so rare. I've never seen one.
Yeah.
And actually, in the water like that, you're much less likely to get attacked than if you were on a surfboard or, paddling out or something like that.
Because they think you're a wounded animal or what have you.
Yes, you look more enticing if your legs are kind of dangling,
Great.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
We'll skip that. We'll stick with the writing. Absolutely. Well, Heather,
we have to wrap this up. I guess we could talk forever like we usually do. And we'd like to get you back in April when the book comes out. and
Yes.
chit
Thank
chat
you.
more and do all that again.
And I'll try to find out what my titles are. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No,
Don't worry.
no. But I mean, we always have fun when we talk with you, Heather, and we can't wait to do it again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's
As
always
always.
wonderful to see you guys. Thank you.
So great to see you too. And everyone have a great day. This is Outliers. Get to know.
And we're going to go off the air now, and we will be back with another interview very, very soon. Until then, check out Outliers. We do a lot of things there, and this is just one of them. And we'll see you there.